Welcome again to another mathematics tutorial, and today we are going to look at completing the square in solving quadratic equations. In our past videos, we looked at factorizing as a method of solving quadratic expressions, okay, when it is easy to find the product of two numbers also equivalent to the sum of the two numbers, then it became easy, we can factorize. Other times when it is not that simple to find those two numbers, we can use the quadratic formula. Alright, we can use the quadratic formula, alright, in solving, alright, the quadratic equation. Right, we can use the formula, right? But today we are going to look at a different method, which is called completing the square, which is another method of solving quadratic equations. Okay? So here we have a quadratic equation. Okay, now looking at this, it is not easy to factorize an equation like this, because what two numbers multiply together, but you take the two numbers and you add them together, gives you 8. It is not particularly easy to solve it that way. So you can use the quadratic formula, or you can use completing the square, right, as a method to solve this quadratic equation. So what we do, first of all, we take the 5 out of this side, we put it on this side, plus 5 becomes negative 5. Okay, now we are left with a blank here. We want to find the value here. What we do is that we take this 8, right, and divide it by 2, and we square that value. So 2 into 8 is 4. So we put the 4 here, okay, and we put the square here. So it's 4 square. Okay, so we put the plus. So because we add the 4 square here, we add the 4 square on this side here as well. Okay, that's what we do. So next, we factorize this. Okay, we put the x here, this plus comes here, and the value that goes here is 4. So the 4 goes here, and we put the square on the outside. Okay, so that is how we do it when we're doing completing the square. So we have minus 5 plus 16 gives us 11. Now to get rid of the square, we find the square root on both sides. Okay, so we square that and we square this. Okay, this cancels. So we take the brackets out. That's x plus 4 is equal to plus and minus the square root of 11. Okay, to find the value of x, we minus the 4 on both sides. So this plus 4 becomes negative 4 on this side. So we have negative 4 plus and minus the square root of 11. So we have two answers, plus and the negative. So x is minus 4 plus the square root of 11, or x is equal to minus 4 minus the square root of 11. Alright, so there are two answers for this one. Okay, so we can look at another example. Okay, so here we have another example where it is not easy to factorize this like the other quadratic equations in our previous videos. In this case, we can't do that. So again, we take the minus 9, we put it on this side. That's the first thing that we do. That becomes positive 9. Okay. Now the value we put here, again, we take the 10 divided by 2 and we square that. So that's like 5 squared. Okay. So we add the 5 square there. Okay. So now we factorize it. Alright. So we put the brackets, that we bring the x here. Alright. This 5 goes here. This plus comes there. We put the square. Okay, and that is equal to 9. Plus, okay, plus the 5 square, which is 25. Okay, we can't forget that, because we put the 5 square on this side, and we put the 5 square on that side. Okay, so we have x plus 5 squared is equal to 9 plus 25 is 34. To get rid of the square, we use the square root on both sides. You do the square root here, you do the square root on this side. Alright, so that takes the square root out, we take the brackets out, so it's x plus 5 equal to the square root of 34 plus and minus. Alright, it's plus and minus. So x, right, we've got to get the 5 out on this side. So we minus it on this side of the equation. So it's going to be x is equal to minus 5 plus negative the square root of 34. So we have the two answers, of course, minus 5 plus the square root of 34, or minus 5 minus the square root of 34. Okay, we can look at another expression and try to solve for it. Here we have another one. Obviously, it's very difficult to factorize this equation. Okay, and again, we bring the minus 7 on this side, so we plus the 7 on this side. Okay, so here we have x squared minus 12x is equal to 7. Now we want to find out what value that we can put here. So we take the 12, right? We take the 12, divide by 2, and we square that. So that is 6 squared. So we put the 6 squared here, and we plus. Okay, that is 6 squared. We plus the 6 squared. Okay, but if we plus the 6 squared here, we have to plus the 6 squared there as well. Okay, so it's not only there. If we add it on this side, we add that 6 squared on the other side. Okay, so what we are left with here, okay, well, we have to end up factorizing this bit here where we put the brackets. Alright, we have the x comes in here, we have the minus comes in there, and we take the 6 and we put the 6 there. Okay, and it's squared. And it's equal to 7 plus 6 multiplied by 6. That's 36. 36 plus 7 is 43. Okay, like in our previous example, get rid of the square. We use the square root. Okay, so we find the square root, right? the square root comes off, this 2 goes, and the brackets go. So we have x minus 6, right, is equal to the square root of 43, right? X is equal to, because it's a minus, right, comes on this side, becomes a plus. So it's 6 plus or minus the square root of 43, right? So you have two answers. X can be 6 plus the square root of 43, or x is equal to 6 minus the square root of 43. So that's two answers you got there. Okay. We can look at another example. Instead of having 1 divided by x squared, the leading coefficient, let's say, is 2. So it's 2x squared. Okay, so 2x squared, say plus 12, 12x plus 9 is equal to 0. Okay, again, we bring the plus 9 on this side. So we have 2x squared plus 12x is equal to negative 9. Okay, so we want to find the value okay we want to find a value of here. Okay, so what we do, we pick the 2, okay, and we do some factorizing here. Okay, so that will be x squared, alright, x squared, plus 6x. Okay, we got this equals 2 multiplied by 6x is 12x. So we have to put the 6x there. Okay, now we need to plus a value that goes in here. We use the 6. We take the 6 and we divide it by 2, like what we did here in the previous example, and we square that. So that's like 3 squared. Alright, so we put the 3 squared over there. Now you put the 3, you plus the 3 squared here. Alright, so you also have to plus the 3 squared here, but you also have to multiply this side by 2, because you got the 2 here. Before we only had the 1, so we didn't take that into account, because 1 by multiplying would give you the same result, so we did not look at that, because this is a 1. But because you have a 2 here, you have to now plus this 2. Okay, and you have to multiply 3 to the power of 2. Okay, and all that gives us minus 9 plus 18. So minus 9 plus 18 is 9. So we can put the 9 there now. Okay, okay, and we say it's 2, right? Bring the 2 down. It's going to be x, so this x comes there. Okay, but then we plus the 3. The 3 goes here, and we square that. Okay, and that is equal to 9. Alright, now we need to get rid of this 2. We need to divide by 2. If you divide it by 2 on this side, right, you're going to divide by 2 on that side. Okay, so this cancels, so we are left with x plus 3 squared is equal to 9 divided by 2. Okay, to get rid of the square, again, we find the square root right, on both sides of the equation. Okay, so the square comes off, we lose the 2, we lose the brackets, is x plus 3 is equal to plus and minus the square root of 9 over 2. Okay, so we may not be able to find the square root of 2, but we find the square root of 9, which is 3. So we say that 3 divided by the square root of 2. Okay, we cannot get that. And now we need to minus the 3 on both sides to leave x by itself. Okay, so we say x, alright, and then this, if this positive 3 goes on this side, okay, then is the negative 3 plus or minus 3 divided by the square root of 2. Okay, so we have two answers for x again, minus 3 plus 3 over the square root of 2, that's one answer. The next answer is minus 3 minus 3 divided by the square root of 2. Okay, so we have two answers there. Okay, so so we leave that for now. We end the video here, and thank you for viewing. Goodbye.